Hello and welcome again to the Aid Station. I'm Chris Robb, and today really delighted to be traveling all the way to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, where we meet Dagmawit Amare, who's the Strategic and Innovations Manager of the Great Ethiopian Run. Welcome, Dagmawit. Lovely to see you.
Good to see you, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And this has come about at really short notice. I mean, we just literally connected 24 hours ago, and here we are talking to each other, which is wonderful. So I have to admit, I've got a little bit of your background online, but I'd love you to tell us yourself in your own words, a little bit of your story, please.
Okay. Yeah, so like you introduced me, now I'm the Strategic and Innovation Manager of Great Ethiopian. But just to go back, I have been with the Great Ethiopian for over 15 years now. I joined the Great Ethiopian office after they staged 3 races of the Great Ethiopian, which is the biggest race in Africa.
How
And
many
I have
runners do you
joined
have?
currently, like the last race we did on the 19th edition, we had 45,000
Wow.
runners.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the most fun, very cheerful 10K, and it's one of the biggest races in Africa. So but when I joined back in 2004, we were about to do the 2004 fourth edition of the race, and we had, I think, 16,000 participants, and it has been growing and growing. So we had 45,000 races last year. So other than that, we have other annual races, and our second biggest race is Women First 5K, which we just staged last March for 15,000 registrants. So my journey with Great Tepera started in 2004. I didn't have a lot of background in staging races, and it was a learning process for me. I had to learn a lot in organizing races, especially in mobilization of participants and other other things. I used to do multitasking things in the office because we were a few in number. So we all had to do a lot of things, and which helped me learn a lot on all the process of staging a big race. So that's how it was. Now we have like big races of the women's run, the 10K, and that's more or less my background. Like you said, I live in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Addis Ababa is called sometimes the capital of Africa because the African Union is head office is stationed in Addis Ababa. And Addis Ababa is also the capital of running.
Yeah.
We have like lots of good runners, and
Yeah.
when you come to Addis, you will see lots of professional runners training and everything. And one of the good things about our race is we get lots of elite runners coming to take part in the race. Mostly that doesn't happen in other races, but in our race, we usually have around 500 elite runners. So
Wow.
yeah, that makes Addis Ababa like we call it the capital of running. We call it the capital of Africa. So
Yeah.
that's how it is. As I mentioned, it's a great joy to be part of the Great Ethiopian Run, and it's a great joy to be staging those races for all 45,000 runners, because you will, when you arrive on race day, you will know how many people are there to be happy, be having fun, to finish a 10K. So it's been a great journey for me,
Wonderful.
and it has a great pleasure to my life being part of this event.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I hadn't realized it was as many as 45, but obviously, Ethiopia, I love watching, and I was sharing with you before we started recording, one of my highlights, running's been my passion since I was a kid, was having Haile Gebrselassie come to Singapore to run in the 10K in those days. He'd retired from marathon running by then, but yeah, just such a wonderful history of running. Tell me what life is like at the moment. You were talking that you've been under lockdown for quite a while, but not a seriously strict lockdown. But what's day-to-day life in Addis Ababa and Ethiopia in general like at the moment?
It's not a complete lockdown, so it's a partial lockdown. and we're actually in the state of emergency, so we're not allowed to gather for like more than 4 people, but uh, some people are staying home, some people are going out. It's not like a strict lockdown, but it's just more of a precaution. It's luckily our last race we did was on the March 13th, which was the women's run, and that was the last day that we had a gathering in Ethiopia. The next day was like the announcements that stop gathering like a mass sport was not allowed the next Monday, and I felt like we were lucky because the women's run was the one of our biggest race, and 15,000 women registered already, and
Mm.
it was a nice event because the president, our president is a female president.
Yes,
We have a
yes.
female president, so she came and started the race, and it was really a good event. But the next day, yeah, those announcements came out, and people were not allowed to go out. But mostly for our office, because we're doing mass races, it's difficult to be working now, so we're just working from home
Yeah.
mostly. But
Okay.
yeah, we people go out. You can go out as much as you want, but you just have to be careful of not to be gathered in the same place. And transport, uh, we have transport, but with limited seated, so that we can keep that social distancing. And we have like the plate allocated odd and even. The cars are allocated as odd and even, so that people will be discouraged to go out of the house,
Mm-hmm.
except if you are a business plated vehicle, which you get a code of 3.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed for like there is no limitation. Luckily, I'm not going out, but my plate is business, so
The
I
business, so
can drive every day.
you can if you
Yeah,
want. Yeah, yeah.
but
And
yeah,
so the
that's
challenges around that, as you're planning to, you're running the business remotely without your staff, and trying to get ready for your next races. I mean, what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing around that in terms of day to day beyond the lockdown from a business perspective? Have you had to let staff off, or have you found sponsors that are saying they don't want to be involved in the events? Is that some of the challenges you're dealing with?
Mm, yeah, currently we have cancelled races. Like, I think we have cancelled one race which was supposed to happen last Sunday, which was children race. So definitely it was the Union who was sponsoring the event, because it's the European Union Day race. We've
Mm-hmm.
been doing it for 12 years now. So it was cancelled because you can't do that. Our next event is a relay. Obviously, even if we don't ask the sponsor, we can't do the event, so we're canceling that. And we'll see. After that, it will be a rainy season in Ethiopia, when we don't have races usually
Okay.
until September. The Ethiopian New Year is in September.
Yes.
Not Yeah. So
Not like the rest of
September.
the world. Yeah. Or many parts
Yeah.
of the
So
world.
after
Yeah.
September, we will begin the sunny season again, and we plan other races. But currently, we don't know the outcome of this situation, so we have to wait a bit. But we didn't hear anything from the sponsors yet. But we're just staying home, planning what, like, forecasting what happens in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year. But we're lucky enough that we have not laid off any staff yet.
Mm.
We're still working from home. We're using like Zoom and other applications to have our meetings and discuss what should be the next step and that kind of thing. So far we're good, and seeing what comes next. The cases in Ethiopia is not a lot yet. It's just taking the precautions seriously and staying safe. So yeah, that's how we're operating now.
How have the runners responded? So when you cancel a race, does that mean that have to give refunds of entry fees? You know, with a country that's so running crazy, what's been have you found that the runners have been quite supportive, or are they demanding refunds, or how's that been?
No, because we start registration 5 weeks or 6 weeks to the race, so we didn't register anyone.
Okay.
So it was just in our annual schedule. So
Yeah.
we didn't register anyone. We just left it cancelled. But it was scheduled to be happening in our, like, when we plan our calendar of races.
Hmm.
The European day race and the relay are part of our annual races. So we usually start registration 5-6 weeks before the race. So it was nothing like
Wasn't a
that.
problem. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And your
Ev-
role, I mean, part of your role is innovation, and in these times we're seeing lots of interesting innovations. And you were talking before we started recording that you're planning a virtual race in a couple of weeks. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and some of the other innovations you've seen maybe in Ethiopia that might be different to what's happening in other parts of the world?
Yeah. Yeah. I was telling you that. Yeah, this time is a good time, like, to go to technology. Actually, we wanted to go that way before, like, introducing sport technology in Ethiopia. So this time it will push you to be going that way. So one thing we are planning to do is a virtual race. But what we started off 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, we launched a campaign called Stay Safe Ethiopia. So the campaign is is planning to give is designed to give exercises to everyone, to the public, through YouTube channels. So we have a coach, a female coach. She will be exercising on, like, videotaped to being exercised, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel. And then we have a Great Ethiopian Run group Telegram. Uh, I don't know if you know, Telegram is like a WhatsApp
Yes.
kind of application. We use it mostly here. So we've been filming these exercises under the campaign Stay Safe Ethiopia. So for every week, and then people will be able to do 30-minute exercise at least for a day. So we started it saying 30 by 30. So it's a 30-minute exercise for 30 days, but we've decided to extend it for 6 weeks now. And it was happening now. This is the third week. So we want people to exercise. But under that campaign, we want to do a virtual race. Now in other world, there are virtual races, especially if you're allowed to go out. But in Ethiopia, we're allowed to go out and exercise if we can walk. So it's a 5K virtual race that we'll be doing from June 1 to 7. Between those period, people can choose a date and do a 5K race. So that has engaged us in being experimenting all the running apps and online registration. We usually register people personally. They come and pay in registration centers. Now we have introduced this virtual way of doing things, like you register through the website and then through e-payments, and then do the race, was supported by the app. And it was kind of new for most people here. So they've been saying, oh, okay, what's a virtual race? And then we have to say, yeah, it will give you that freedom to run alone on your own course, that kind of thing. And that also has given us a chance to run our race. We've never done our race because we've been busy. Now we're registering as a part as a participant. So
Yeah.
the whole process of that this virtual race is like a bit a new system for us. And then we have to, we're finding out new things, and the way you communicate to the participants needs more effort, not like you're just talking to someone. So because you
Yeah.
were doing it everything as virtual,
Yes.
we're learning every day on how to register to the end that you do the race and send us your time
Yeah.
and confirmation that you did the race through the app, and
Yeah.
then through this communication channels. So it's
Wow.
exciting for
Yeah.
us. And then we are expecting 500 people to run, and we have already registered over 250 participants. So at the end of the race, what we want to do is we're going to deliver their medals to their houses, because medal and water and everything, so that we know the excitement that we feel, and we share their excitement of
Yeah.
doing a race, and just to be close to these people who've been taking part in our race for the last 19 years. So
What a
we're
wonderful
going,
story. Yeah,
yeah.
that's so great. And so, amazing how these things are changing. We in many countries you take for granted, in many parts of Europe and America, everything's online, and here in Asia where I am, quite a lot of it's online, but there are countries where people don't have credit cards, and they don't have that ability to enter online. So this could be a real pivotal moment. Even though you get 500 people in your first one, you look back in a few years' time and say this online registration and everything has changed as a part of COVID-19. It's amazing. Can I end on an inspirational story? And there's so much inspiration from Ethiopian running, but just something that you've got that might be an inspiring story to end on, please, Dagmawit.
My inspirational story will go to the women's run. Of course, the great step around the 45,000 people running is very inspiring. Seeing all those people being happy and having fun on that day is always a time that makes us all happy. But the women's run, it's never been easy for women to go out and run here in Ethiopia. And of course, I'm sure we have the AIMS Women Commission. It's never been easy all over the world, but for us, we have struggled a lot to get 15,000 people, 15,000 women and girls to come and run. But what inspires me the most is being on race day and seeing all those women with different background, with different like economical background, age difference, and they come from poor and rich and educated, a young, a student, an old woman, and seeing everyone there on the race day having a smile, having a dance, and running, shouting. That always inspires me to do these races, because you can see every one of them in the same t-shirt, being the same on that day, having that fun. That always inspires me. That reflects in each race that we do, and that's what keeps us doing these races for the community, and it's so inspiring.
It's a wonderful story, and isn't it the wonderful part of running and mass participation generally? When we step on that start line, we're all on the same field. It doesn't matter whether you're a millionaire or you're running barefoot and you've got nothing. And so it actually echoes a little bit what Martha Morales, who introduced me to you, was saying. She gets so inspired by the runners and the stories that they bring. And yeah, what a wonderful way to end. Thank you so much for making the time. It's been wonderful to meet you, and I hope that we'll get to meet in person at some stage. I'm sure you were going to be at the AIMS Congress in Batumi. I was supposed to be there as well, and hopefully we'll catch up at the next AIMS Congress when it gets rescheduled. But thank you so much. Great to meet you. Thanks for your time.
Good to meet you, Chris. Thank you for having me.